Nature's Partner introduces Mrs. Helen Krause, a retired plum grower from Reedley, California. Helen learned from a young age the importance of fresh food and how to bake and share. So here's Helen to teach you how baking really is as easy as pie.
Good morning, I'm Helen Krause and I want to welcome you to my kitchen. Today I want to teach you how to make a really healthy plum pie. We use Nature's Partner's plums because they have many varieties and we find they're always the best. You need 3 pounds, so I suggest you buy 2 bags of these. And so let's go ahead and make a nice plum pie today. Now to make a pie, you have to cut up the plum. You just cut up plums about that size. It doesn't have to be even. We do not peel the plums when we use them for pie because there's so much nutrition in the skin and a lot of the flavor is right under the skin. Now, I'm using artificial sweetener because my husband is diabetic. You can use sugar in the same amount, and in here I have 1.5 cups. In here I have a teaspoon of nutmeg and 1/2 teaspoon of cinnamon. My secret ingredient is 1 tablespoon of almond extract, very important because it enhances the flavor of your plum. And then for thickener, I have 3 tablespoons of tapioca, and that's minute tapioca. And you just stir that up. When you're through, you just set it aside. And then we go to the crust. And I make a different kind of crust than most of you are used to. I use no shortening. I have not had shortening in my home for probably over 30 years. It is not healthy. In here I have 2 cups of flour, 1 teaspoon of salt, and in here I have 1/2 cup of canola oil, and to that I add 1/4 cup of milk. Do not stir it. Pour the entire thing into your crust and just mix it with a fork. You're going to like this because it's easier to clean up and it's very easy to work with. And so you just start pushing it together a little bit, and that's all there is to it. And it has a very, very good feel to it. You'll recognize it. If you've never made a crust, don't be afraid of this one. We'll bring that back in a moment. Then we are going to dampen our breadboard down, and now we're going to take saran wrap, flatten a piece down on your breadboard. And now you bring one of these pieces of crust onto your board. You flatten it, cover this with your saran wrap, grab my rolling pin, and don't be too gentle. Some people say you have to handle it with kid gloves. Not this crust. I've patched more of these than you can imagine, and they always turn out tender and very light. Bring my pie pan over and I think, yep, that's just about right. And with both hands, you lift it up, lay it in your pan, press it down. There you go. And you've got your bottom crust in. Now, exactly the same thing with the top crust. Now we go back for the real important ingredients, plum filling. And you just put that right into your crust. It looks good enough to eat right now, but we need to make this. Pick this up with 2 hands, lay it over the top. There we go. And then because people like this crust so well, I don't waste any of it. But you just crimp this whole thing. And remember, we're not competing for prizes here for looks. We're going for healthy and good tasting. There you go. Take your fork and you just prick it rather gently, but if you make a little hole, nobody cares because you need those steam holes. Now that we have the pie ready for the oven, I'm just going to add one little enhancement. I have a little milk here, and with a pastry brush, just brush your pie gently, and then in my container here I have cinnamon and sugar, and I just sprinkle it over the top, and it adds a beauty to the pie. And now we're ready to put it into the oven, preheated to 400 degrees, and you bake it for 1 hour. Now that I've taken you through the simple steps of making a lovely and delicious plum pie made with nature's partners, plum. So thank you for being with me today.